Yeah, hi there. This is Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. These comments are for Jenna. So I hope you're having a great day. I see that you made some comments over at my online website. So what I want to do in the video is to go over some of your questions, give you some answers, and hopefully we can get you going in the right direction with your English proficiency. So you say, "Dear sir, I'm not Native American. I have to get at least 90 on the IBT TOEFL. I have a test next Friday. I took the TOEFL last Saturday, which was December 1st. Now I have a one more week. I'm not good at reading and listening. How can I improve it? I read books, but I think the book that I read are not academics. So during the TOEFL test, if the passage is not interesting, I lose my interest and do not pay attention. How can I improve my score? I took the TOEFL in January this year. It was 58. I took TOEFL classes for 2 months, but I'm afraid I could not improve. My speaking and writing are better than listening and reading. However, I want to improve too. Help me, please." Good questions. Let's take a look here. So first of all, let's talk about your reading and your listening. Now, before I get into that, I want you to consider 3 things. In terms of learning a language, you have to have these 3 ingredients. Number 1 is you have to be motivated. You want to get better. Number 2, you have to practice the language over an extended period of time. I think is also important. And then the third one is kind of related to the practice and the motivation thing. You have to do it over a certain amount of time if you want to get the results that you want. Now, my best advice for you at this point is stop taking the TOEFL test. I think it's time to work on your English language proficiency instead of taking the test over and over and over, hoping that you'll get better results. All right, let's talk about reading. There's 5 things that you need to do, I think, if you're serious about improving your reading proficiency. I'll talk about them in the order of importance. Number 1, you want to make sure you're reading about 45 minutes every day. You want to be reading adult-type reading materials. They don't always have to be academic, but they're just materials geared toward adults. You can read magazines, you can read books, you can read newspapers. So reading each day for about 45 minutes, if you do just that one thing over a period of about 6 months, you will find that you will have a lot better concentration when you're reading materials in English. Now, number 2, you need to build your vocabulary base. You really do, your academic vocabulary base. This is very, very important. Of course, over at my online TOEFL course, in the first section of my course, Vocabulary, you will have access to 1,700 TOEFL vocabulary words. I have a lot of practice tests. I have even reading passages. I have matching exercises. I even have all the audio files of all the words, so you can download them and listen to them and get used to those words. So the second thing is vocabulary. You really do need to work on that vocabulary. Now, number 3 is, in addition to reading extensively and improving your vocabulary, you want to work on your reading speed. Believe it or not, you might think I'm crazy, but it's true. Faster readers have better comprehension than slower readers. Slower readers have more distractions. It sounds like you're probably having some distractions. You say in the test that you took is you don't pay attention. You lose interest. Sounds like you're having distractions. Some of that can be directly related to a slower reading speed. At my online TOEFL course, I have 70 different speed reading tests that will improve your reading from 100 to 350 words a minute, and you can do that with 80% comprehension. So you definitely need to work on your reading speed. This is very, very important. Now, in addition to your reading speed, you want to be familiar with the IBT reading question types and the strategies for answering them. For example, some questions deal with what's called rhetorical purpose. They'll ask you why or how something is happening in the reading passage. They might say, why does the writer use the word however? Or they might say, how does the writer structure the argument in the second paragraph? By doing what? So you have to be pretty good at knowing, first of all, to identify that that is a rhetorical question, and then you need to know the strategies for answering that kind of question. This is also something that I cover, Jenna, at my online TOEFL course. Now, in addition to that, the last thing that you want to do, and sometimes students, they just do this and they think that their reading is going to get better, but they take practice tests. Taking practice tests is good as long as that's not the only thing you're doing. Remember, you're already reading newspapers, you're reading magazines, you're reading longer books, you're studying vocabulary extensively, you're working on your reading speed, you're familiarizing yourself with the IBT test-taking strategies and all those things. And then, once you've done those 4 things, then you begin taking practice tests. The main thing is it's now time for you to apply your English knowledge to a TOEFL practice test. Now, as you take these practice tests, you want to make sure that you understand when you make a mistake or you make an error, why is the answer that you chose incorrect, and why is the correct answer a better choice than yours? This is called reviewing. You review your practice test to see what kinds of problems you're making, and hopefully when you take the actual TOEFL, you will avoid making those problems. Now let's talk about listening. You also said you're not good at listening, so obviously you want to practice a lot your academic listening skills, and there's a lot of things that you can do there. And a lot of these things are actually fun, like watching movies. I think that's a great way to work on your listening proficiency. So when you get free time, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, watch a 2-hour movie. That's great. Now, because the TOEFL is academic, you can also watch programs on TV, especially programs that deal with science and history. This would give you the kind of content that would be similar to what you'll see in the listening section of the IBT TOEFL. So I think that's also good. Now, at my course, Jenna, in the listening part of my course, I do have about 40 different listening practice tests so you can get used to academic type lectures. I also have some good lessons to help you improve your note-taking. I also have lessons in the reading section of my course that will help you with exactly that also. You'll begin to work on organizing, understanding how to organize your notes after you're reading something or listening to something. And remember that when you do the integrated speaking and integrated writing tasks of the TOEFL IBT, you will be asked to make connections between reading passages and lectures. And being able to make those connections, I think, will depend a lot on the notes that you take from those passages. So you have to be very organized, and then you have to be able to make the connection between the sources. So I think my listening part of my course will also be very beneficial for you. And you also mentioned that you'd like to improve your speaking and your writing areas, and guess what? Those are the 2 most popular parts of my course. Students can study reading. You can do listening on your own. Let's face it. I mean, you just have to have the motivation. You have to believe that if you watch movies or if you read magazines or you read longer books, you have to have faith that if you do those things over several months, that you will get better. Now, sometimes with the writing and the speaking, you need a place to post your practice tests online. And that way you can get a TOEFL IBT specialist who's trained, who's been teaching TOEFL for almost 20 years. You can give me a chance to listen or to read those practice tests. And I'll be more than happy to do that. In the writing part of my course, I right now have 40 different independent writing practice tests. You'll get a score every time you take it. I'll even recommend some specific lessons that can help you improve based on your writing score. In addition to that, there's 10 integrated writing practice tests so that you can read passages, listen to lectures, and then you can write a 250-word passage explaining what the connections are. And obviously the pronunciation and the speaking parts of my course, when you complete those practice tests, you will post your responses online. And we can do this with today's technology. I have a VoxyPop discussion group. Once you become one of my students, you can also join my VoxyPop group, and that's where you can post all of your speaking responses. Alright, Jenna, so anyway, thank you for your comments. I hope in this particular video I've given you some basic ideas about what my website offers and how I can help you improve your academic English proficiency so that you can meet your goal of getting 90. Now, you got to think of it this way. You can get this score. You will get this score. If you fight hard enough and long enough, you can make it happen. Now, what we don't know right now is when you can get this score. But the sooner you join my course, I think the faster you can begin making progress toward reaching your goal. All right, have a great day, and keep up the good work, and all the best to your high-scoring TOEFL success.